talking last night about that. Kids nowadays, they don't have no discipline, no.
All set? All right, we'll call the meeting to order. Welcome to the regular board meeting for the Todd County Board of Commissioners. Today's date is Tuesday, November 15th, 2022. Time is 9 a.m. All commissioners are present with the exception of Commissioner Kircher, who is absent. Also present, we have the Auditor Treasurer, County Coordinator, and absent today is the County Attorney. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. With that, amendments to the agenda.
I have none, Mr. Chair.
Any other amendments? Nothing? Hearing none, I'd look for a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion by Becker, second by Kneisel. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Consent items.
We have one item today, the meeting minute approval for November 1st, 2022.
Okay, you've seen the consent items. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Newman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Kneisel. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. County Treasurer, Auditor Treasurer.
First item I have today is the auditor warrants for October 2022. Background is sent for review. Recommendation is to approve the October 2022 auditor warrants with an ACH and a manual payment totaling in the amount of $8,956,816.21. And this is large because it's the tax settlement.
Okay, you've seen the board action for the auditor warrants totaling $8,956,816.21. Looking for a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Kneisel. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Becker. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor. Whoops, sorry, roll call.
Commissioner Kneisel?
Yes.
Commissioner Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Newman?
Yes.
Commissioner Erickson?
Yes.
Thank you. The next item is the commissioner warrants. Background is sent for review. Recommendation is to approve the commissioner warrants with an ACH and a manual payment totaling in the amount of $85,479.25.
Okay, you've seen the board action for the commissioner warrants totaling $85,479.25. Looking for a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Newman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Becker. Discussion. Roll call.
Commissioner Newman?
Yes.
Commissioner Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Kneisel?
Yes.
Commissioner Erickson?
Yes.
The next item I have is the Health and Human Service Commissioner warrants. Background is sent for your review. Recommendation is to approve the Health and Human Service Commissioner warrants with an ACH and a manual payment totaling in the amount of $123,297.19.
Okay, you've seen the board action for the Health and Human Services Commissioner warrants totaling $123,297.19. Looking for a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Kneisel. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Newman. Discussion. Hearing none. Roll call.
Commissioner Kneisel?
Yes.
Commissioner Newman?
Yes.
Commissioner Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Erickson?
Yes.
The next item then would be the Health and Human Service SSIS warrants. Background is sent for review. Recommendation is to approve the Health and Human Service SSIS warrants with an ACH and a manual payment totaling in the amount of $83,572.84.
Okay, you've seen the board action for the Health and Human Services SSIS warrants totaling amount $83,572.84.
in one family, and they're usually a little one, and they only can take like one little one when they have 10 kids already, so that makes it tough too. Trying to find some ways to get around that daycare, maybe working shift work or a different job, and helping families look at different, outside the box a little bit.
We're also seeing some changes with employers that, recognizing this daycare issue hasn't gone away in a long time, and it's still in front of us. So some employers are looking at 6-hour shifts, they're looking at adjusting shifts, things like this, even with young children that need to get on and off the bus, morning and afternoon. And they work a 10 to 2 shift, so they still get that morning bus ride in the afternoon pickup, those types of things from school. So it's kids of all ages and different things, but as we continue to work more and more with employers, and they need to recognize too that the old days of 8 to 5 or a 6 to 4 type of thing, Monday through Friday, just may not work for everybody, and it's nice to see some loosening there as well. And we have a long way to go, but at least it's a start. And there's been some adjustments made in our region with some employers as they recognize that. We've also got some employers looking at putting their own daycare systems in. If they run into the same issues with finding staff, ways to staff it up, and then cost and structure. The work training that Evie mentioned in here, with the work training, if anyone's unfamiliar, with the work training, that's when we payroll folks on our caseload, and it's not just about putting them to work, but it's learning those life skills and responsibility and what it takes to be a good employee. Responsibilities of getting there on time, and if you're required to work 5 days a week, you work 5 days a week. Those processes start for some people, from 2 hours a week just to get them out of a home. Maybe there's a mental illness barrier. There's different things that prevent them from being in the workplace. So they start sometimes very small, and they can go up to 29 hours a week. And our goal is clearly to get them off of subsidized employment and program. But it starts with getting them to understand what it takes to be a responsible, employee somewhere. So it's life skills, it's work skills, and we ask employers to help us treat them like any other employee, so they can learn. And that's part of the coaching process that goes along with it. As an employment and training agency, that's our push. That's what we strive to do with everybody that walks through our door.
And I'll piggyback off of that too, with a lot of times after they've been through our training, the employer will hire them, and there are some success stories in here that say that. That's really great when because they already trust them, they know the job, and then they hire them. And sometimes they can turn into an OJT as well on the job training, so pretty exciting when that happens.
Great.
All right, we'll move to the contract, next board action form. We have the MFIP biennial contract addendum, second year, 2022 to 2023. Background, counties are required to have a biennial service agreement approved by the Minnesota Department of Human Services to receive consolidated funds for the Minnesota Family Investment Program. The purpose of the biennial service agreement is to provide DHS with information about services and strategies intended to meet program and measures with the goal of increasing economic stability of low-income families using MFIP. Your options is to approve the MFIP biennial contract second year 2022 to 2023 for program administration by Todd County, or to not approve. It's our recommendation that you approve the MFIP biennial contract addendum second year 2022-2023 for the program administration by Todd County. This is a budgeted item.
Okay, you've seen the board action for the MFIP biennial contract addendum second year, 2022 to 2023. Looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion by Newman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Becker. Discussion.
Thank you.
Looks like lots of real positive things going
Yes.
on, so nice to see. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you, Brian and Evie, for all your work that you do each year and coming up, especially on this kind of snowy day. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Have a good day, you guys.
Thank you. Come on up, Corey. All right, our next board action forum is an update from STEP. Corey Lawrence is here to provide that update.
Good morning.
Thanks for coming in, Corey.
Yeah, thank you for your time. I won't take up too much of it. STEP is currently providing service to around 70 people with disabilities throughout the county. We serve clients anywhere that need a lot of personal care needs, to changing and feeding, all the way to people who work in their own community job. So it's kind of a wide array that we serve. We also employ around 30 direct support staff and administrative staff in our organization as well. We currently have 8 community contracts where we provide cleaning services to a various degree. That includes a group that goes out to the Todd County Transfer Station every day, Hilltop Regional Kitchen, and then a number of local churches and businesses that we provide cleaning services for. We do provide some in-center work still, but we've kind of shifted our focus a little bit from in-center work to more community-based engagement. So we have a number of activities and things that we take people to almost on a daily basis. Now, as the weather changes like this, we'll kind of shift to more in-center art-based activities, and then we have some things like bowling leagues and things like that we do during wintertime to kind of pass the time. So if anybody has any questions or anything.
Mr. Chair, if I could.
Go ahead.
I'm on the Friendly Rider and Rainbow Rider
Yes.
bus boards. And the STEP people use the buses. And I was just curious if there's any problems, or is there anything that you would like to see changed or whatever?
Yeah, so we have contracts with both Rainbow and Friendly Rider. They provide all of our Staples transportation is provided by Friendly Rider. Friendly Rider also sends one route from Wadena down to Browerville, and then Rainbow provides a lot of our transportation along Prairie and Sauk Center area for us. There's nothing that I can say that's been a negative about those relationships. It's been to our benefit to do that. And we work with the directors as closely as we can. They're really good to kind of resolving issues quickly and letting us know if something's going wrong. And it's vice versa. They have some days that they have off, and we're able to scramble and make things work on those days, like Veterans Day. They had the day off, but we didn't. So we had to figure that stuff out. But overall, it's been a good relationship for us.
Oh, that's
on
very
both
good to
on both
hear.
sides.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for coming
Yeah,
in.
no problem.
Good to work with
Thank you.
Corey.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. All right, I'll have Mike come up and go through the last board action form. Our last board action form is to approve participation in Reaching Rural Advancing Collaborative Solutions Initiative. Some background, the U.S. Department of Justice, the Bureau of Justice Assistance, created the Reaching Rural Advancing Collaborative Solution Initiative as a part of its mission to expand opportunities for rural communities. An application was submitted and approved. There will be some out-of-state travel that are going to be required for 3 in-person trainings throughout 2023, with the first occurring in February in the state of Virginia. The cost of the travel will be covered by the scholarship. This application was sent to us with some really short turnaround times. I think we had less than 24 hours to submit an application by County Attorney John Lindeman. He thought it was a great opportunity to get some experience and have a collaborative effort with our new TIDA. I want to say TIDA, but TIDA positions. Yeah. So it'll offer her some national collaboration around our initiative.
Yeah, the training, it's really around bringing, a multitude of players together on a collaborative effort. So we thought our TIDA program would be a good opportunity for that. Ashley Muvik is our new TIDA worker. She's only been with us a little over a week. When the information came out after our application was approved, we had some conflicts with the training dates. And unfortunately, the design of the program is you can't send one person to the first one and then have a second person go to the next. It has to be the same person all the way through. Ashley was very excited about that opportunity, so we're trying to get it switched to her. I don't think we got final word back from them if she was approved as our person or not, but we wanted to bring it to the board's attention as there will be out-of-state travel as a part of that, but the cost will be incurred by the program.
Our in-kind cost will be Ashley's time. So otherwise, from what we know, the kickoff meeting is in mid-December, if I recall. So we have real limited information, but the travel, there's scholarships for all applicants that are accepted for the travel to cover all the travel costs. So we wanted to bring that in front of you, but we also needed a commitment by Veterans Day. So we talked it over with John and bringing it here in front of you because it was such a turnaround time. I believe I got it Friday the 4th, and then they wanted us to either accept or deny by the 11th. So not a lot of time, kind of like the application. It was here, and we had to have it submitted in less than 24 hours. So we did want to get this in front of you.
Yep,
Mayor, if I could.
go ahead.
Jackie, is this a federal grant then, or a state grant, or what's the
It's not,
origin of the grant? I
yeah,
guess?
I'm not sure there's really a grant. They have funders, so I think it's private organizations that are funding this
Okay.
initiative. I know in our communication, they reference their funders. So
Is
I
this
don't,
through NACO or?
It is a NACO-sponsored or hosted training, but I would say it's more of a collaborative than anything. It's a national collaborative.
Okay. So through NACO, if I could, through NACO, so there's other counties within other states partaking of the same?
Yes, we'll probably learn the full extent of the volume come December, but, we applied and surprisingly received it. So now, just reacting to the offer, I guess.
Keep bringing information forward
Absolutely.
as this grows.
It's
yeah.
exciting. I mean, it's
Yeah.
quite an opportunity for us to be a part of this, or chosen to be.
Mr. Chair, if I may add, I think just reading through some of the information that Jackie provided, it looked like it was a 14-state collaborative.
Interesting, yeah, good.
So, options. To approve the participation in Reaching Rural Advancing Collaborative Solutions Initiative or to not approve. It is our recommendation that we move forward in participating in the Reaching Rural Advancing Collaborative Solutions Initiative.
Okay. You've seen the board action for the participation in Reaching Rural Advancing Collaborative Solutions Initiative. Looking for a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Kneisel. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Becker. Any further discussion? Sometimes it's kind of exciting to be
Yeah.
on the leading edge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what we think too.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. County Sheriff, good morning.
Morning. All right, got one item up for bid today, and that's the purchase of two Motorola APX 6500 radios. These are squad radios. Background is I'm requesting to purchase two APX 6500 squad radios. The purchase price per unit is $5,875.52 for a total of $751.04. They've gone up about $1,000 in the last year. That's why you've never seen us typically buy one at a time throughout the year, and so it never really had to go to board. But now that they've gone up like everything else, we need board approval. Options are to approve the purchase of two Motorola APX 6500 radios for the squads, or do not approve. Recommendation obviously is to approve the two Motorola APX 6500 radios, and it is a budgeted item.
Okay, seeing the board action for the purchase of the Motorola APX 6500 radios. Looking for a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Newman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Kneisel. Discussion. Amazing how much stuff is going up,
Crazy.
isn't it?
Yep.
It's just crazy.
Just over $1,000 in a year.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Now, Steve, is these the ones that take over for the old one?
we are currently running these, but they're getting to end of life, some of them, so we like to have at least 2 to 3 on hand, and we're down to our last one, so
I
when
know
one
the-
goes out in a squad, then we have one to replace it
I know
with.
the 800 megahertz ones are gonna have to be replaced pretty soon too, or
Yeah, they only have a certain, well, I think ours meet the FBI standard, so.
was it?
So we're good on those, with just, they only last so long and they beat up a lot in those cars.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Carried. Thank you. Solid waste. Good morning, Mike.
First one, on the other side.
I believe we have Chris joining us. via
Yes, that is
Zoom.
correct.
Correct. Snow just added a couple more things to do at the solid
Sure.
waste department.
not?
Why not, right?
Yeah, make life a little easier.
Yeah,
We'll use yours.
and not do it all in one day, just snow a little bit 2 days in a
Yeah,
row,
let's
right?
stretch it out for a little while.
Yeah,
Yep.
nothing wrong with that. Just enough to make it miserable.
Mr. Chair, just with the issues we had this morning with the network connectivity, I'm not able to display my screen, but I'm gonna ask if Chris could maybe just speak up so we know if he's there.
Yes, thanks. Commissioners, can you hear my voice?
Yes?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. We have Mike to present on this. I'm online and listening, and any questions you have for me, I'm happy to answer. But I'm gonna let Mike, if we could, just give you an update on where we're at with the transfer station design process. And there's no actions that we're looking for, but we are happy to answer questions and hear anything that you have.
Okay.
Okay, to start it off, with the committee's work, along with the staff, and actually help from MPCA, Jeannie Givens and Heidi, we've really been digging down into the detail, designing of the office and the transfer station. There was some variable ideas on our HHW, household hazardous waste, how we process that. Our big scope was really trying to limit exposure to the public when they use the facility, and keep things at a safe consideration for the public as they use it. So they were big changes for us on the HHW. The way we processed the loading dock off the new building, we decided to do away with the loading dock option because we very seldom use it. And there's currently one in the old existing facility. So we were able to free up a lot of space to use for different types of recycling that as the customer drives through the building, they can access that real easily. We rearranged the drop bins to the south side. Do we have a map of the facility? Okay.
Okay.
See if we can come up with a traffic flow pattern. I wasn't sure if Kevin, there you go.
Is that the one you want?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do we have a spotter?
Got all kinds of technology issues today.
When they work, they're great.
So that'll give you some really good ideas. Really looking at the entryway off in 71, and our really main goal was to make this all one-way traffic. We did change the facility some, so as the traffic is entered here, we relocated the recycle, the green bins that the customers use to the south side here. This is actually a little bit outdated, but we dropped this to the south and we made a boulevard to drive through. So they're actually going to be driving between this and the green bins. And we separated it with a curb so it keeps them really profile to follow that direction. And the main reason why we did that is because we didn't want them kind of making a circle right out into this part of the traffic. So this was just green space anyway. So we relocated these bins down here. The customer can basically drive right through, go in between here in the green space, use these bins, and then go in, come back out. The customers that are using the facility to come in and weigh, the scale was up here. We relocated that, moved the office space here. So we're in vision with this and the HHW. So they will come through the facility, use the scale, enter the building, whether to deposit demo or garbage, household waste. This was the proposed where the old, where we were going to have our loading dock situation, but when we alleviated this, this really opened up this area, and we're trying to really maximize the use of our facility and our space. So as they come through the building, now you can locate these recycle bins, which is going to be tires, your white goods, TVs, electronics, and then our clean compost that we process now when we sell back to the customers. We're going to have a bunker location here. So everything is really isolated to one-way traffic in, and then they can just leave. So I think the traffic pattern, we really accomplished what we wanted and our goals set out forth. This access is in concrete. We can access this area here with our rolling trucks to empty these bins and go and place them where we need to. So that was really the biggest changes, was the traffic flow and locating this to really make it ease of use for the customer and really keep them away from all our commercial traffic. Will just be isolated to this end. So that was, I think we're really happy, really comfortable as a staff and the committee on our design. With that, anticipate a lot of success with that for the customer. The other big changes that we really they're not really big changes, but the things that we did with our architect was we added dormers to all the buildings above the doors and windows just to isolate and prevent ice damming by the overhead doors, which I think was a smart move. It keeps the rain and the snowfall from sliding off the roof and landing right by our doors. So we added dormers to the facility itself. So that was a big adjustment. The other big thing that we are looking at changing, and we're still in designing, is the access to the hill, which is over here. It currently is about a 16% grade, and by our permit rule through MPCA, it has to be 8% or less. So we're looking at actually changing that road to get it to 8%. So we're thinking about cutting at an angle and coming and entering into the top of the hill that way. Just to make it a lot safer, a better line of sight for people coming down, even though we're going to reduce that use of that facility up there probably by 80%, because most everything's going to be processed down below. So, but that is something that we are looking at and continually going to work on a design with Stantec on that. The other big thing was the water main extension, which Chris is going to talk about on the second part of the BAF, which is going to come through the north side of the property. We have actually a meeting tomorrow on how we're going to treat our waste with Long Prairie, hopefully working with, and that's our tipping floor waste that comes from this building here. So we're hoping to finalize something with that in the near future, so where we're going to go with our tipping floor waste, which is a roughly maybe 20,000 gallons a year type of system. But so yeah, we're really excited. I think you know, these little pod marks here, that as you can see, the little circles, the keynotes here, that's just signage, the projected signs that are going to be used for the facility. A lot of arrows, a lot of directional stuff that we're going to be implementing once they get further into the real detailed design of this. But so that's kind of where things are at with everything right now. We're kind of finalizing the scale situation, if we're going to use in-ground or above ground. We are working on that with Stantec right now, getting that finalized. We need to get that kind of figured out. There's lead times of about 40 weeks on that right now, so as far as getting them made. So that's something that we're looking at. As far as improvements to equipment, I don't see any really backlog on anything that I've seen getting quotes on. The only thing we would like to purchase is for the tipping floor in this facility here, is using a material handler to load the trucks here. It's basically like a large grapple that's on like a swing hoe, but it's got tracks rather than using a loader. The multiple facilities that we used on those, they're really happy with the performance. You get better compaction loading the trailers. You get a lot better visual. The other thing that Becker County really don't like, they use a front end loader and they push against push walls. Well, their facility is roughly 5.5 to 6 years old. They've already resurfaced their walls from rubbing and smashing against them all the time. They said if they would spend the money over again, they should have bought a material handler. Right now, CAT is about the only one I can get one from, and the cost of that is around $439,000 for a product like that. Front end loader with a grapple, you're looking at about $260,000 just to kind of give you a comparable price. That is going to be our large ticket item to purchase for equipment. A straight truck and trailers is not quite that big of a deal, but some pros and cons on that type of stuff. We're still doing some research on that and availability, but that's kind of where we're leaning to. The big reason I really like is this here, we're going to create a bunker right outside the building for our scrap metal. I think you guys all know what the top of the hill looks like when our metal gets spread out. MPCA does not really want us to have any contact with ground anymore, so everything is basically going to be processed immediately into some sort of a trailer, and that is a big advantage of also using a material handler. You can load that, they just drive it outside and they can load a deep volume trailer with that machine. You cannot use that front end loader to load a trailer like that. They're deep, designed that for just safety when they go down the highway. So that was something that I was really impressed with, the way Hubbard County uses their material handler and process that. So they always had 2 trailers sitting out there. And another ease of use for our customers, it creates a lot better control for us as people dump products out of their vehicles and trailers. You know, we can do a better job of sorting and ultimately really trying to limit saving space in our landfill also, so to save that process. So, so yeah, everything looking really good. We're happy and excited with the changes. So, comments and questions?
Mike,
Yes.
your 2 bins that you talked about, they're sitting out, right
Yep.
there. They're sitting outside or inside?
They're outside. This
They're
is all
outside.
outside the building.
Okay.
Yep.
So when you come and pick them up, you'll just come from the,
The west side here. Yep.
okay.
And basically,
So how's that traffic going to get to them? Are they going to dump, they're going to dump on the east side and you'll pick them up from the west side?
yep, because
that
these
makes
are all weighable items.
Yep.
So they'll go through the scale, go through the building, and then they can park right out here and access that.
Yep.
Looks very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're really excited. I think we've
Like
really
a-
spent as a committee and as a staff and myself and a lot of interviewing with a lot of contractors, you know, some of the stuff that they would like to have seen because they're the ones using the facility as well. A lot of them, we're really excited about processing the demo inside the building because that's where a lot of our pollution comes from for our neighbors because, you know, we don't always have time to process our demo and light insulation blows all over and we have some of that issue. So we're really looking forward to limiting that. So,
And I also like the way you drop the other ones down so the traffic can go, keep the same flow of traffic around that.
yeah, it really creates a sense of safety for them also. And, you know, it takes them a little time to use that facility. And we don't want to, you know, this way they're really isolated from all the rest of it. And they can go ahead and do what they need to do there, so.
Yep.
Looks good. Looks like a lot of good thoughts and thinking has gone into it, a lot of progression as you go. That's kind of nice.
I'd like to make another comment. It's nice the way, Mike, you share with the people that are working at the solid waste, that
Yep.
they have the input in, because they're the ones that know the flow and how it works. you know?
Absolutely. I think that was a critical thing. And I mean, I learned a lot from it, even in some of the conversations with Chris McCon and stuff. Little things like that bring us to detail because they also use the facility. So, you know, I have all the maps laid out that we've printed out so they can actually see the design of the building, the traffic flow patterns and what they liked and what they didn't like. So, yeah, I think that was a very advantageous use of that. So.
Mr. Chair, if I may just add, and outside of all of this work with this new transfer station, there's still things that are being taken care of with the old location. Mike was able to share with us some of the improvements that he's made just to maintain the buildings that we have that are existing. So he's done a great job of maintaining the old and working through this new project, so.
Thank you. And that was their, a big goal, because we know once we opened that facility, we knew that the time was not gonna have a lot of time to be spent on the old one. And, we've really come a long ways, some of the pictures that we've showed at the committee. So, yeah, made a lot of success and a lot of strides on our maintenance. Huge improvement. Super happy.
Good. All right.
And to that, I'll turn it over to Chris.
Thank you, Chair and Commissioners, for listening in on our update. I'm just gonna do a sound check. You still hear me?
Yep.
Great, thanks. The next item here is for construction agreement with City of Browerville. So when the county originally submitted a grant application, the intent was to get water and sewer from the City of Browerville. In the budget, with the grant application, there was approximately $349,000 set aside for that. As we communicated with the City of Browerville, we've made some adjustments. One of the adjustments is that the city did not originally understand that the project included collecting industrial wastewater off of the floor of the transfer station. And we basically can't bring that water to them. So we reduced the scope of our interest in using the city to just water service. And it's important to us to use their water. I'm gonna start reading from the background text now. Currently, state building code requires that a proposed new transfer station have fire suppression. Typically, connection to municipal water is the most economical solution if the utility is nearby. County staff worked with the City of Browerville to draft the attached construction agreement, whereby Todd County would pay for installation of city water main to serve the proposed transfer station. The agreement includes provisions that the city would charge the transfer station for the sale of water at the same rates they charge their residents. The total cost of this work, including the engineering, administration, and legal, is estimated at $209,300 and is an eligible expense for grant dollars from the MPCA's $4 million cap grant. This agreement is planned for presentation at the Browerville City Council on November 9th. And I'll correct that, that did get moved out to, I believe, the 23rd. Todd County staff and commissioners are also scheduling a meeting with the city officials on the 10th. We've had that meeting, just to review the scope of the work and how that work will move forward. Attached are the draft drawings and the cost estimate. So if you don't mind, I'll just show you those briefly. This is the agreement, so it's about 5 pages in is the cost estimate. Cost estimate that we're showing you is from the city's engineer, and that is for the amount that we described.
Chris, can you assist with what specific page number?
Sorry, can you see the cost estimate? We got it. Okay, great. So I don't know that we want to get into the details of that, but we have reviewed that cost estimate. And we met a couple times with the city's engineer. Everything makes sense to us as we break down those costs. If we could go now to the map, which is the very next page, to
Mr. Chair, could I ask a question?
Sure.
Chris, just looking at this map, when they want you to cross Highway 71 at the, let's see, north side of the property and then bring the line all the way down to the south, all of the new development in Briarville is on the east side of the highway. So then if those, I think there's a cabinet shop and whatever along there, so then they would again have to bore across Highway 71 to get water to where the development is in Briarville?
The one on the north is already in, across the road, across 71. Isn't that right, Chris?
Right, but I think what Commissioner Becker is saying is that we have to put
They have to bore across
Well,
71.
they're considering it,
Yeah.
of not making us do that.
Right.
They're gonna consider not making us extend that.
Okay, you know, and that's just knowing where
And
development is located within Briarville.
I believe some of the development that you're talking about drilled their own wells.
Oh, they did,
Yes.
okay.
So they're not required.
They're not even looking at it, then
No.
I would really question why the city of Briarville would make us run along our whole property line.
We're hoping that they consider that differently.
Okay,
Because that discussion was brought up in a meeting that, why it ended right at Dan's Prize, and if you're making Todd County do it, why didn't Dan's Prize do it? And they said it was an ordinance change within the city, so I guess it's an ordinance change,
Okay.
so.
Yeah, because currently the water ends right here on that side of the road, and it's located to here, and that's where it's ended now.
Chair, if I could add, thank you, Commissioner Newman. What you said is what I recall hearing in the meeting too. There's a couple more things I'd like to add. One is, I believe there's a road behind or to the west of Dan's Prize, excuse me, to the east of Dan's Prize. So that development could be served without crossing the highway again. I think what drives some of the decisions by the
Right.
city are, trying to make non-speculative decisions. So at some point in time, they're speculating, they're not speculating. There's gonna be development south of us on the west side of the road. And when that happens, they don't want to have to tell a developer to have to bring the water main past us. The other element to this too, this is a little more of water main design, but typical water main design is you don't like dead ends. So I do think Commissioner Becker is correct. Eventually, there will be another loop. When you build water main systems, you like to loop them. So whatever goes east around Dan's Prize will eventually be looped and connected to what we would be extending on the west side of the highway. And looping prevents dead ends where water gets stale and then you have water quality issues. All those things considered, we did share these ideas that you've expressed here with the city, and that's where they are considering allowing us to end the extension on the north side of our approach. But, you know, it's kind of they're the owner, it's their system, and we can ask them this, but they're gonna wanna do what's in their best interest.
Okay. Any other early discussion? Otherwise, you've seen the board action for the construction agreement with the city of Briarville. Would be looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion by Kneisel. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Newman. Any other discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chair. The only other thing that lit my ass up was the fact that they kept calling it a dump. We're spending $5 million on a dump in Briarville. I mean, of taxpayers' money. It's like, come on, you know? That's a lot of money to spend in a city, and they benefit from people using that facility. You're gonna stop at those businesses up there, Cherry Grove, whatever, but you know what? Let's kind of drop the dump name, and just call it a transfer station. That's all I have.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
And at this point, we will look to, did you give me a thing to read up there, or were you talking about?
Going to.
There we go. At this point, we will enter into a closed session. The notice is to advise the public Todd County Board of Commissioners will be meeting in closed session commencing at approximately 10, which is 10:04, on Tuesday, November 15th. The purpose of this closed meeting is for the purpose to consider strategies for labor negotiations pursuant to Minnesota Statute 13D.03. All right. Or are we live?
We gotta finish off the meeting.
You're all right.
Yeah.
We just gotta go back in. We're back on? Okay. All right, we will, come back out of closed session. I need a motion to end the closed session and reconvene in the regular meeting.
So move.
Motion by Becker. Is there a second?
Second?
Second by Newman. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. And with that, we would do standing reports. Auditor Treasurer.
Just a quick recap of the election that happened on Tuesday. We had registered 14,544 voters on file, and a total of 10,941 actually voted, so we had a 75% overall turnout rate for Todd County, which was huge. We did issue 1,150 absentee ballots, and 1,057 were returned and accepted, and there's 93 that either they chose not to vote once they got their ballot at home, or it's in limbo land coming through the postal service. But it was a very, very good turnout. Today is November 15th. Remember, it's Ag Tax Days, tax payment day, so if you have ag land, your taxes paid. And that's all I have.
Okay, County Attorney is absent. Commissioners reports. Commissioner Becker.
Yes, on November 1st, I attended the solid waste design meeting. On the 3rd, I went to the Ag Society annual meeting. The 4th, I participated in the extension interviews for a new 4-H person. The 7th, I attended the Personnel Committee. The 10th was Rainbow Rider. The 14th was canvassing the election, the road meeting, and the wellness meeting yesterday.
Good day.
Yeah.
Commissioner Newman.
I will give my report on my committee assignments on the first meeting in December. I just want to thank everybody for the thoughts and prayers. With the loss of my mother-in-law, on the 21st, we're having her funeral on Saturday, and then for my father on November 26th. Lost him Friday. Thanks.
Okay. Commissioner Kneisel.
Nothing
Okay. Coordinators report.
Not a whole lot, Mr. Chair. Just a reminder that our next board meeting is actually December 9th instead of December 6th, and that's because of the AMC conference.
Okay. And with that, I will look for a motion to adjourn for the month of November.
So moved.
Motion by Kneisel,
Second.
second by Newman. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed? Carried. All right, and we have a Health and Human Services or Health Services update. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Not gonna say A team, I'm not gonna say B team, I'm not gonna say green team. Making that mistake twice, Mike.
I appreciate that. Luckily, I brought the A-team along with me.
All right, good. You can say it.
We're here for our annual health services update. Brought the supervisors along so they'll give their updates in their areas. But just want to start off by saying thank you to all of our staff. We put in another amazing year's work. Had some transitions this year with supervisor changeovers and people moving to different positions and filling openings, and everybody continues to step up. Personally, I just want to thank the group to my left, Jackie and everybody. I've spent more time away from the county than I ever have in my professional career this year, and everybody stepped up and did an amazing job, so I really appreciate that. So with that, we'll start with Sherry. Greenwald for the home care update.
Good morning. So, like Mike said, I'm Sherry Greenwald. I'm the nursing supervisor for home care. And so I'm gonna,
You have to be pretty close to them.
so anyway, I'm Sherry Greenwald, again, the nursing supervisor for home care. Home care had another busier year. I mean, not as, we're still trying to rebuild back after COVID. So currently, right now, we have 3 full-time RNs. We have 4 home health aides with 2 positions that are currently open and that have been posted. And we haven't had a lot of success on getting any applicants. We have 1 homemaker and 2 support staff. So with that, in 2021, just to compare numbers from 2021 to now, we had 86 clients that we served. And of that, there was 2,160 nursing visits. There were the 4,149 home health aide visits, 1,338 homemaking visits, and 196 therapy visits. And most of those therapy visits were for PT. And then in the first 8 months of 2022, we had 74 clients. We had the 1,209 nursing visits, 3,043 home health aide visits, 789 homemaking visits, and 93 therapy visits. And again, most of those were for physical therapy. A couple things that have changed since the end of August is we had a contract with Big Stone Therapy, and they have cut their contract with us. It was because of staffing issues that they couldn't support us along with their own caseload. I reached out to physical therapy clinics in the area. I reached out to independent physical therapy people. I'm working on a contract with a private individual at this time, so we have hopefully something in place, but that's a continual process that we're working on. And then the one big, huge thing I had happen this year in May, we had our survey. So this survey happens every 3 years. MDH arrived at our site for the survey on May 31st, which is the day after Memorial Day. So that next morning, coming back from being off, here we go. So MDH was on site with us for 3 days. They did chart audits. They looked at our policies. They looked at personal records for education. And she also went out and did surveys in the field with 1 or 2 RNs and 1 home health aide. We had no findings on the state portion of the survey, so we were great there. The only finding that we were cited for was on the federal part of it, and we did not have a source control for home care staff who have an exemption from the COVID-19 vaccine. So we had to put a process in place for that. Otherwise, our survey went great. The nurses did great when the surveyor went out with them. And so, yeah, for my first survey ever, it was very eye-opening for me to learn, but everything went smoothly. I had a lot of great help too, so.
Oh,
Richard, can I stop you for a second? Can you explain to me what an extra source control means?
I can feel that.
Oh, sorry, I just was,
With the vaccine mandate, those who have an exemption had to have an extra layer of source control in place.
so, stuff they're wearing, protective stuff and things like
Instead
that.
of, for example, surgical mask and 95 masks.
I gotcha. Sure. Cool. Interesting. It just was something that caught my eye there as I was reading it and I wasn't understanding it, so.
Okay. Do they still need that, or has that been now dropped?
For the vaccine mandate, that's still in place.
It is still in place.
Interesting. Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry, just clarification.
No, it's perfect question.
Can I say something? I just want to thank the staff for the care you give my dad.
Thank you.
They were very caring, and
We love your dad, so we all enjoy taking care of him.
thank you.
Okay, Richard.
I'm first couple items I'm going to talk about is the comprehensive reentry and the TIDA position. These are the 2 newest programs and social worker positions. Maggie Chapin moved into the CRE position, the comprehensive reentry position, in April. In 2001, the CRE position did 60 comprehensive reentry cases, 35 substance use assessments, 10 adult mental health cases, 1 civil commitment, and 10 adult protection cases. That's kind of like a hybrid position where we have them do CRE work, but also do adult adult protection work and adult mental health work as well. And then Ashley Movlich, started in the TDA position in the beginning of this month. She's currently in training and is learning the resources in the area. And I don't know if you're familiar with the TDA position. It's the Todd Integrated Dispositional Alternatives position. It was presented at one point, but just kind of quick updates. Basically, it's to help address pre-charge cases for that need some mental health or some substance use treatment options.
These two positions are the ones that are in the sheriff's office.
Okay.
Case management. We have currently four case managers, children's mental health case managers. The last one was added was Jessica Kern in August. Back in about a year ago, Families First Prevention Services Act was put into action that added some additional requirements for children's placements, and we're still kind of learning the process of that, and getting that getting a handle on how that's all affecting our placements when we have to do placements. We're also continuing to develop the SIBS program. That is a kind of more of a short-term alternative to children's placements, utilizing intensive in-home therapy, and a second phase, which would be a short-term residential treatment with in-home therapy combined during that process. Been found to be very effective in Crow Wing and Dakota counties as reducing the length and cost of residential placements. Adult protection, we had 168 MARC reports in 2021, 45 assessments. We did 3 guardianships. I think two of those guardianships, actually, we were just assisting private guardians. So if when we have a request for a guardianship or there's a need for a guardianship, if we can find a family willing to do it, we will offer to help them with that process, because oftentimes that's the initial process is a little overwhelming, going through the court when people aren't used to doing that, so we assist with that. And then one of the changes, EPS, Emergency Protective Services requests, notifications are now sent to me and Mike on weekends and after hours. They no longer get sent to the Sheriff's Department. That was the change that DHS made back in 2021. Another change with the redesign, they've allowed us to do more easily take self-neglect reports and screen it in with no determinations being required. It's a way to offer some additional assistance without having to determine if without having to go through the legal process of determining you're self-neglecting yourself, and here's a letter that's saying that you're self-neglecting yourself. So it's a nicer way to offer assistance without having to send people a letter saying that you're incapable of taking care of yourself. Substance use, the main change for substance use is in July of 2022. Comprehensive assessments replace Rule 25 assessments, which means you have to increase the qualifications to be able to do a comprehensive assessment. You have to be a licensed alcohol and drug counselor or a mental health professional to do a comprehensive assessment. So that limits the amount or who is qualified to do assessments in our area.
Mr.
Question?
Chair,
Yep.
what's SUD?
Substance use disorder.
Okay. You guys got a lot of acronyms.
Sorry. Yes.
And they change them, so it used to be.
Yes, they keep changing them too. So
Yeah.
it's
So, yeah, I'm trying to read in between there, so
By the time
thanks.
you learn it, we'll change it on you.
Thank you.
Todd County Local agency council still meets. We meet every other month with providers, community members, to kind of review mental health services in the area, identify needs, and we also put on a mental health awareness event a couple times a year. And I have one more. Okay. Adult mental health. There's 2 full-time ones. There's two hybrid ones. The hybrid folks are Jake, who does most of our adult protection work, and he also does adult mental health case management. And then the Cree social worker also does some adult mental health case management and adult mental health protection and the Cree work. We had 115 adult mental health cases, 9 civil commitments. We still work with 5 people in the Minnesota Sex Offender Program, and we had 2 people mentally ill and dangerous that we are providing case management for. We also have the money management program. We have 40 clients, over 40 clients in the money management program, where we help manage the budgets and the funds for folks. Any questions?
Are you sure that's it?
Yeah, there's a note on here I should add. Sorry. There is in our region we have a new IRTS, intensive residential treatment service facility in Little Falls, and that's recently started and is opened.
Still trying to.
Are they still trying to find staff? Okay.
Very close.
It's ready to be open, just don't have staff for it yet. And that's gonna be nice to have that running.
Super.
Good morning. I'm Michaela Johnson. I supervise the Child Services Unit, and my team consists of 4 case managers who are social workers. As of next Monday, we'll have someone joining our team. 2 permanency and licensing social workers, 2 assessment and investigation social workers, a relative search, 1 case aid and child care assistance, and we currently have 2 open positions, 1 for a team lead and 1 for a case management position. So for my slides, I have some graphs just to kind of demonstrate. They include 2021 and then also this year to kind of demonstrate where we're at. So this one is the number of children receiving in-home and out-of-home services. And just to be mindful of, the 2022 year is through the 3rd week of June, so a little over halfway through the year. So in 2021, we worked with 184 children that remained in the home, and 44 that were in out-of-home care. And then 18 we served, which were both in-home and out-of-home. So sometimes that starts as an in-home case and then results in a out-of-home placement. And then as you can see in the graph, we will probably exceed those numbers this year with 170 that we, through the 3rd week of June, of in-home, 33 out-of-home, and a small percentage of both in and out-of-home. This slide represents the number of children exiting out-of-home care, and so our numbers are a little bit down this year. If you look at the purple, that is our reunification numbers. So that means that children that we've worked with that were in out-of-home care and then were reunified with their parents through a CHIPS petition. In 2021, we had 17 children reunified with parents. 7 of them were transfers of custody, and then another 7 were adoption. This year we have a little bit different blend of numbers. We have 13 that we've reunified thus far in June, but we have had some children age out of care, which means that once they had turned 18 and Todd County had custody of them, we work with them through an 18 to 21-year-old program to get them enrolled in college or support their future plans. And we've also had more relatives, living with relatives, and adoption. Not as much transfer of custodies this year. This slide represents the number of open case management cases. And so this does include a little bit of children's mental health, which is Richard's domain. That's that big section in the middle. But if you look at the top, the light blue, the Child Protective Services, so about 19% of our cases with the children are in 2021 with 38 cases. And then this year through the third week of June, we've had 35. So we are more than likely going to also exceed that this year. And then this one just represents the number of reports we've received last year and then this year so far in Todd County for child maltreatment reports. And so I'm going to reference my slides because those numbers are pretty small. So 343 reports were screened out in 2021 with 90 screened in and were assessed or investigated depending upon which track it met criteria for. And then this year we're at 201 reports screened out and 71 screened in. So our percentages are pretty comparable at this time.
I would just add, especially in the child services area, it can be a boom or bust kind of area. We went recently through a 2-week period where we had over 50 child protection reports to screen and children placed in that time frame. So sometimes things hit all at the same time, and just want to give a lot of credit to that team to pull together and make things happen when they need to. It's pretty impressive, and that comes at all hours of the night. So there was a few days where we had a lot of coffee flowing through the office to keep people going.
Okay, best for last, like I always like to say, but Kim DeCock, I supervise our waiver and managed care unit. So staff, you'll see up there, we have 1 paraprofessional case aide, 8 social workers, 1 of which is our intake social worker, 4 RNs, 1 of which is retiring December 15th, so we're hoping to have a replacement by that time, 1 PHN, and then 1 office support specialist, 2 which works across our units. This is a breakdown of our assessments. As you can see, that number should actually be 130 assessments to date for 2022. 2021, we had 132. COL reassessments, which is county of location. So when we do a reassessment, we have to do everybody that's in our county. So if we have people placed out of county, that county is responsible to complete the reassessment. So we have 40 slated to do this year. We had 50 last year. And then this is just a breakdown. I won't go through all of it, but you can just see how it breaks down between waivers and then our managed care plans and then even our nursing home care coordination. We have quite a few individuals receiving services. Okay, so like Sherry, we were blessed to have our lead agency waiver review this year. We had it in March. Generally, we have them every 3 years, which is an on-site review, but with COVID, it was switched to every 4 years, and it was a virtual visit. So, they just want to come make sure that each county is in compliance with all the requirements, to learn basically about how we do things here in Todd County, what's our geographical makeup, what's our makeup of diversity, employment, who's working, who's not working. It's really interesting to see the amount of information that we get from this. But basically, it's also a chart file review, so they review 10% of our cases, which was 54 cases between our AC, EW, CAT, CADI, BI, and DD waivers, and they have a look back period of 18 months. So there was 56 different measurements. When we had our review 4 years ago, person-centered requirements were just coming about. So they looked at them, but they weren't auditing them. So this year they actually audited those requirements, which was a good thing because we really did want to see if we were hitting all those different components. And So basically, yeah, within the process, they're there for a week. They gather what our major issues are, our strengths, our challenges, and what our areas of our improvement are, and then also our operational measurements. Like I said, with employment, the amount of people with disabilities that are working, those competitively, those that are in center, and those that aren't working. And then I guess the focus too is what our cultural diversity makeup was too. So, I wanted to show you guys the areas of improvement just to show how heavily audited some of those requirements are. I will say, before I go through those, is that our main purpose is to make sure that we are focusing on meeting the needs of our people. So whether we've missed something here, that is always our goal, and I feel that we do, well, my staff do a fabulous job of that. So one of our improvements is that we need to make sure that we're writing what people's strengths are. We're very good at putting what they like to do, and we do know what their strengths are. We just have not put them on paper. Dreams and aspirations. We have kids where we had wrote what the parents had wanted as their dream, and we need to write it, and I put a little example. Instead of putting that the parents want Susie to communicate, they want it to be that Susie would like to communicate. And when someone's nonverbal, it's hard to come up with something like that. So it's just, we have to be a little bit more creative in how we do our wording. Rituals and routines, if we put that someone attended church, we needed to put that a time frame on it, that they attend every Sunday. And then as kind of Commissioner Newman had pointed out, we can't use abbreviations because we have so many different abbreviations in there. So as you can see, these are all like little things that we can easily tweak. And then one person had just in their case notes had not put that they put that the file was completed and not that the plan was sent out or who the plan was being sent out to. So as you can see, it's all little things that we were easily able to fix. And then Valley View, I just wanted to give a quick little update on that. As you guys all know, we found out Thursday, July 28th, that they would be closing by September 15th, and that all 21 residents would need to be out by the 15th. And of course, 15 of those residents were on the waiver. And so my case managers worked closely with Valley View to find placements for everyone. And we really looked at where people wanted to be. And of course, people wanted to be in their community or around Long Prairie, while some chose to move to their family, but we were able to get everyone moved by September 11th. So that was a great undertaking. My staff did a wonderful job. An update, Premier Choice Senior Management Solutions was hired by the owners of Valley View to work on a provisional license. They hope to reopen Valley View with the assisted living license, but now without the dementia unit. And as of right now, that hasn't gone through yet, but I just wanted to add a big thank you, and I should add Jordan Leesmeyer on here too, because my case managers, all the different providers we have close by, Meadow Place, Long Prairie Nursing Home, Central Todd County Care Center. It was really great that Upsala Senior Living opened because people were able to move there but still be close, and then Galleon.
That was quite an undertaking for Kim and her staff, when we had such a short window to get people moved, with facilities not being able to open to full capacity because of workforce shortages. So kudos to everyone that was able to place these people timely, and ultimately that, you know, the best decision of the clients and their families. So
Yep.
nice work.
Yeah, and my staff, like within minutes of getting the email that I sent out, they were already calling assisted living facilities, the families, the people to see where they wanted to be, just to try to find places, because with the workforce shortage, as you guys all know, it's difficult to place people. Yeah, it worked out really well. And then you might remember this slide from last year. Last year we were slated to move into our revised MinChoices platform in November, but it got delayed, so we're still currently working under 3 different roofs of, you may have a MinChoices assessment depending on how you fall. You might have the Legacy Long-Term Care Assessment, or you might have a health risk assessment. So the exciting thing is that we will have our revised MinChoices application that is set to launch April 3rd.
There are bets throughout the state that that won't happen.
I feel like if I say it enough, that it's going to happen this time. But last time it got delayed because truly the system, their new platform was not ready. Even when we were training, you could tell you couldn't do the whole thing from start to finish. So we were actually glad it was delayed. As much as I like to jump in and get going with it, we were glad that they took the time to get all the quirks fixed so we would have a good system to evaluate people. So in the last slide, you can see what they want to get to is that we have everything in one platform, only one login. You can do everything from start to finish in there. We can talk between counties and between like contracted case management systems. It'll just be a lot better. Of course, that comes with a lot more work for staff to get everything copied into the new system. So it's going to be a lot again, but we've done this before and we've done it well. So we will just continue. Rosie and I will start as mentors training in December, and then the rest of the staff will start in January. So we will have a good working idea of how it's gonna go. So, yeah, so as Jackie said, there's bets, but I think we're gonna launch on April 3rd, so hopefully we do that. And then I just wanna end with, I know Mike said he wasn't here a good part of the year, but he was still available by phone or Zoom or whatever option we needed, which just shows what a good leader he is. And then, Randy, we just wanted to say our hearts go out to you during this difficult time.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Yes, I have
comments?
one question. Can we get these slides? Oh, that would be, you know, because you see them, but it's good to have them in front of us. Very excellent, especially with the numbers and everything. Yeah, very good. Thank you.
Yes, thank you all for the update, and thank you for what you do.
Yes, thank you.